Okay, so we're going to do some AP Calculus multiple choice review, and we're going to look at the College Board released items. Okay, so these are not my questions; they're the College Board questions. I'm just doing them. So the first one here, as you can see, y equals x times the sine of x. And we're asked to find the derivative of y with respect to x. Okay, so this appears to be just a simple product rule. Now, when you take the derivative of two things multiply together, of course, you can't just simply take two derivatives and multiply those. You have to apply the product rule. So that's going to be the derivative of the first. The derivative of x is just 1 times the second unchanged plus the first unchanged, so x, okay, times the derivative of the second. The derivative of sine is cosine. And we'll just clean that up a little bit. So we don't really need the 1 there. And you don't know what order they're going to write it in. So we'll just take a look. There's the derivative. You do sometimes need to clean it up according to what they have. But it looks pretty clearly here to be item choice B for number 1. So B is the correct answer to number 1. Scrolling on down, number 2 says let f be the function given on which of the following intervals is the function f increasing. All right, so f of x equals 300x minus x cubed. So I'm going to write that down. Now, if you'll recall, anything about increasing, decreasing, concave up, concave down, that sounds like curve sketching. So it's going to require us to have some memory there, some knowledge, but it's also going to have us find derivatives. Okay, so you're increasing when the first derivative is positive. So let's go ahead and find the first derivative. Okay, so pretty simple here, 300 minus 3x squared. Okay, so to know when the first derivative is positive, we first need to figure out when is the first derivative 0. Okay, so I'm going to change this to 0 and use a little bit of algebra here. So I'm going to factor out of 3. That leaves 100 minus x squared. Okay. I'm then going to factor what's in parentheses. So 10 minus x and 10 plus x. Okay. And I'm going to set each of those equal to 0. So 10 minus x equals 0, or 10 plus x equals 0. Right, so we're going to solve both of those. The 3 will never equal 0, so you don't have to solve that. So I'm going to add x to both sides here to get 10, then subtract 10 from both sides here to get negative 10. Okay, so we know that our derivative is going to be 0 when x is 10 or negative 10. So let me go to this next slide here. People do this different ways. I'll show you the way I like to do it. I'm going to do a number line. Okay, put negative 10 and 10 like this, and write down my derivative. Okay, my derivative was 3, 10 minus x, 10 plus x. Okay, maybe I should write it up here. Put it up here instead. 3, 10 minus x, 10 plus x. And again, that 3 will always be positive. So it's not, this 3 isn't really relevant here as far as our signs. But both 10 minus x and 10 plus x have the potential to be either positive or negative. So I asked myself, this is what we call sign line. I asked myself, in this region, we know it's going to be 0 exactly here and exactly there. But in this area, which consists of negative 11, negative 12, and so forth, what would 10 minus x be? Like negative 11. If we punch negative 11 in here, 10 minus negative 11, well, that would be equivalent to 10 plus 10 plus 11, which is positive. Okay, if I take a representative here like 0, 10 minus 0 is positive. Okay, you take anything in this area between negative 10 and 10. And if you take anything beyond 10, such as 15, for example, 10 minus 15, though, would be negative. Okay, so again, I took a representative, any representative, negative 11, negative 50, negative a million, whatever, and put it into this first factor, determined that it would be positive. Took any representative from here, usually the easiest. If you can take 0, that's typically the easiest one, and determined that that's positive. And took a representative from here, and I just chose 11 and chose anything beyond 10 and found out it was negative. Do the same thing for 10 plus x. Take a representative here like negative 11. 10 plus negative 11 would be negative. 10 plus 0 would be positive. 10 plus anything bigger than 10 will be positive. So now we're ultimately looking at what's positive times negative. Well, positive times negative will be negative. Wrong sign. Positive times positive will be positive. Negative times positive will be negative. Okay? And you may have a different way of doing that. It may seem a little bit around the world for you. But ultimately, it's these three signs that we're looking at. So if you look back at the original question, when is it increasing? Well, the knowledge part is that it's increasing when the derivative is positive. First derivative is positive. Okay, so that's going to be between negative 10 and 10 only. All right, so if you look, that would be also answer choice B for number 2.